Welcome to the Rick Dollar Show podcast. Here's a guy who thought those voices in his head sounded familiar. Your host, Rick Dollar.
Rick Dollar here for the Rick Dollar Show. And if you can't get us on our national affiliates, hit us up on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. My guest today is Miss Missy Raines from Missy Raines in Allegheny. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. You should be excited about this new release, man. I mean, this is a great record.
Well, thank you. Yes, I am so excited that it's out and into the world. We worked on it all late last fall and into the early spring.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was. It's really great to have it done.
Yeah, I can imagine. They had quite a few guests on this record too this year.
Yeah, we did. We had a few guests. We had Lori Lewis and Kathy Kallick sang on it, and then we had Deanie Richardson on fiddle on one tune, and so lots of really high-powered musicians there.
Yeah, there was a lot of talent on this record. Ain't no doubt about it. And I'm not just talking about you. So, so how long have you been doing this?
You mean just making records, or
plugging away at the music industry, man? You've been.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's see. I guess it would be at least 40 plus years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. I mean, I think when we talked when you did Highlander, I don't remember asking you that question, but I remember thinking, she knows exactly what she's doing. So there's not a question to be asked in that regard. But I was curious. I never really asked you that before.
Yeah. I mean, I started playing bass like in bands and making a little bit of money. Of course, I was living at home. Like I was literally 12 and 13 years old is when I first started, playing with a bunch of whoever I could work with. And my parents made it so that I could go out on the weekends and play in places that I often wasn't old enough to be in. But I was always like appropriately chaperoned.
Right.
But then, so I'm not even counting those years, but I did that all through, my teenage years until I graduated from high school. And the immediately upon graduating from high school, I didn't want to go to college. I just wanted to play in a band, and my parents just, didn't fight me on that. And
probably no use in that.
No, I think they were actually very excited about the option of me playing music, and so anyway, I went off and started doing it. So I've been doing it ever since then for for a long time.
Wow. Now you also worked with Becky earlier in the year, didn't you? On a Reach, I think was that release that she had. But
Yes.
Did you do anything else on that record with her?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
But
that was a good one though.
on that one, I did also play on her record before that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very excited that I got to play with her on a few things. But yeah, the Reach was really fun because it featured the First Ladies of Bluegrass with Molly and Sierra and Alison as well.
Wow. I mean, what a bunch. To be a fly on the wall in there and to hear those, little things going on and all that knowledge bouncing off the walls, I can only imagine.
It was fun.
I bet. So you've done this 40 plus years. This just shocks me because you're still out there hitting the circuit, and you're at a lot of festivals this year.
Yeah, I still love to do it. I've told myself all along that when I stopped loving doing it, then I wouldn't push it anymore, or I'd just pull back or whatever. But I still love. Well, I'm loving this band, and I'm loving playing straight ahead bluegrass
Mm-hmm.
right now, and so yeah, and I love to travel. I love to be home, but I love to go out and travel and play for different folks. I mean, it truly is pretty much all I've ever done. So I do
Mm-hmm.
love it, and I still enjoy it. So as long as that's still going on, I'll be out there.
You're good to go, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, what was it like? I have a million of these. What was it like being in the room with all that knowledge that you have, but then you're in there with people like Molly Tuttle and Sierra and all these other people that have such a different, maybe not just vision, but like they're coming from a different direction than you. I mean, most of all of these names that I mentioned, you guys all started young and you've grown over the years to have this tremendous career. And but what was it like? I mean, did you guys mesh well, or how did that work?
Yeah, well, I mean, we definitely mesh well, and we've played together before in
Hmm.
that particular setting in lots of different capacities and some gigs and some recordings and stuff. They were all on a record that I did a couple of years ago called Royal Traveler,
Hmm.
and they performed on that. And what I love about working with particularly those women um, is that it's very intergenerational,
Hmm.
and so that does allow for all this different energy and different knowledge and different perspectives to come into play, and I love that. And I Alison Brown, who produced my records, the
Hmm.
last three records, and then was also on this recording with Becky. Um, she and I have been doing this about the same amount of time, and we remember when we didn't even know five other women band leaders, like truly.
Yeah.
So to be in a room with five women who are all doing their own thing and leading their band and paving their way and making this stamp in music,
Hmm.
it's just really empowering and it feels great, and I love hearing their stories and what's going on for them and what they see as important, and then they always are open to hearing what we're doing, and so it's a great exchange of um, support and just camaraderie.
Yeah, I was so curious about that because, like I said, there's people in that room that have been doing it 40 plus years. I'm sure they had the old sponge out, sucking up everything they could get from you guys. I mean, if not, that would be like a golden opportunity for somebody just to sit in the room and say, wow, I didn't know you could do it that way. Hey, let's take notes or something.
Well, I think that the thing that I've learned the most is that I feel like what helps me get through what helps me not just get through but just to keep doing what I do and love what I do is that I always also recognize opportunities to soak things up. And if that comes from someone who's a generation below me, that's great. If it comes from somebody who's a generation above me, that's great too. So it's those opportunities are everywhere, and I think it's important to just be open to whatever um, wisdom surrounds you. It's when we start to close it off and think that what other folks have going on because it's
Hmm.
maybe different than what you're used to. That's when I think we get into trouble.
I think so too. I was just really curious about that. I'm really going to throw you a curveball now. Um, do you think that the state of bluegrass and folk music and uh, Americana or whatever you want to call, do you think it's going to keep changing, or do you think it's going to be, the fans are going to say, okay, that's enough. you're not as traditional as you need to be, or, because, music's changing so much. And the artists are really just, they're really saying, okay, it's time for us to unload. This is what we do, and we're not going to hold back. So how do you think that's going to work over the next few years?
Oh, I think it's going to be just fine. I think that music is always changing. The cycles are
Mhm.
always there. Um, the more that we progress into the future,
Yeah.
the more that there's still people coming up and learning the traditional stuff and reproducing the traditional stuff as best they can and bringing with it some their like what's current for them as well.
Right.
And that's the best of it. So I mean, I think that there's it's always going to be okay because there's always people inspired to do something different.
Oh yeah.
Um, but there are also people who are inspired to go back to the well and to uh, you know really study the tradition and and do their version of what the tradition is. So the tradition is always going to be there. Like there's not that's never going to leave. You can see that exampled by, lots of bands that are out there these days right now playing bluegrass and playing
Hmm.
uh, con- uh, traditional music. But I think that, and there's always going to be people pushing the edges. And so I think that as long as the only thing I worry about is people being able to make a living
Hmm.
in a viable way going forward. That is actually getting way harder
Yeah.
at a time when it should be getting better. But so I do worry about that part of it, but the art of it, the music and the art of it, I'm never worried about because, there's just a natural progression to that sort of thing. And I think that it's always going to be there.
Well, I think, you hit on a good point there. Uh, the ability to make a living doing just music, you know, a few years back, it was really a lot easier than it is now because you had a hard copy of your art to sell to, hundreds of people at any given time. And now everything's digital. Um, streaming platforms, they're just not paying what I think they should. Because, I mean, if you got to go to a huge festival somewhere and you're thinking, oh well, we can sell 500 CDs over here, and we can all eat good, we can all go here or do this or do that or just relax after the show or whatever. But it's more of a challenge. I mean, you're not the first artist to say that this year. It's been quite a thing that's on the tip of everybody's tongue. So, what do you think the answer to all this is?
Oh dear.
Thought I'd ask you anyway.
Yeah. Um, you know, the, to be clear, it's never really been easy to do it. But you're right in that um, it used to be that you could make a record and then actually uh, plan to sell and actually sell copies, and that record money, that CD money or album money that you would collect out on the road
Hmm.
could make a big difference in, like, if you weren't getting paid a lot of money to
Oh,
play, but that record money would become profit. And that doesn't exist anymore, or not like it used to,
yeah.
because of all the reasons that you said. So it's just, there's just so many things that are um, making it harder and harder. And so I, if if the streaming if the streaming platforms were to pay decently, that would change a lot. Um, I don't know if I'll live long enough to see that, but Uh,
Oh, I
but
know what you mean.
that would significantly change a lot of things for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
But there's just it's always very much related to the world and how what's going on politically and all those things
Mm,
do matter and because that depends on how people spend money and
exactly.
you don't need well, I mean, I do actually think you need music to live, but
I agree.
yeah, but you don't actually need it to live. I
Right.
mean, and so people make choices, and if they're trying to decide what to do with their money at the end of the month, it may not be to go out and buy a ticket to see somebody play as much as they may want to,
Exactly.
and so that's what we're dealing with. If people are afraid to spend money because they don't know what's going to happen in the future, or if they're
Hmm.
afraid to make plans, that's going to affect us, and it's going to affect buyers, who are out there paying bands to come and play, and all of
Exactly. That's the one thing I thought about with when IBMA decided to move to Chattanooga. I was thinking, is there going to be as many people there as there were in Raleigh? I mean, a lot of years in Raleigh. And, people looked forward to that. I mean, I'm sure downtown businesses and people that were in that general area, they were looking for that every year. But from what I can understand and what I'm hearing, Chattanooga's doing the same thing. I mean, they're jumping right behind everything that's going on. So,
oh yeah, they're way on board, and I think it's going to be a great event.
I do
Um,
too.
will it will it equal the first year at Chattanooga won't probably equal the very last year in Raleigh,
Oh no.
but that's to be expected because the first year in Raleigh was also an unknown and not nearly where we were at the end. So I think it's just a matter of time and just building up the trust of everyone that this is
Mm.
still going to be this really great event, which I believe it will be. I've actually been down to Chattanooga to see all the places that were going to be hosting things, and it's just a really very cool town, very cool spaces, and I think Chattanooga has a lot to offer.
Yeah, I think they've been doing a whole lot of work
Yeah,
because they've got a lot invested also, you know, the
right,
future, by the way.
right, right.
So,
And it's a cool little town, so
yeah, it sort of reminds me of Asheville in a
mhm.
couple of different ways. You got these really funky buildings, and not long ago, Susan and I were coming back from somewhere. I can't even remember where it was, but we drove through Asheville, and we saw people busking on the street corners and things like that, and I was like, God, that's so cool. I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
I mean, places like Boone and places like that, that have had Appalachian State University there. Of course, they had a bluegrass and old time program, so you were more apt to go into a local eatery and grab some lunch and see some good music any time of the day.
yeah,
I really hope that's what happens with Chattanooga. I hope it turns into that type of town, kind of a bohemian type attitude. A lot of time, tends to bring in a lot of people that listen to our kind of music.
yeah.
So, well, what's going on this year other than just you're hitting every time I see something coming up about a festival somewhere, I see your name. So I'm like, what is she doing? She's drinking a lot of coffee.
Yeah. Um, yeah, we've got lots of touring to do, and with this new record, and um, uh, when I'm not doing that,
Hmm.
I'm already thinking about the next one, and I'm trying to write songs for the next one. But the next one's gonna, it's not gonna come out next year, I don't think. But I'll be working on it between now and whenever it comes out.
Well,
So
well, that's the Missy Raines I know. When we were when you did Highlander, you had this one, I think, halfway written by the time we started talking about it. And so, I mean, I think it's great to have people around you like you do. I mean, Alison Brown is, she's one of these people, and you guys have a lot of the same tendencies. I think you're both just knee deep in it, and you don't know what else to do. And you know what I'm saying? And you got some people that are out there and they're just like, well, okay, whatever. But I like to see artists like you guys. Becky Buller's the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Molly Tuttle, Sierra. I don't think this was just a whole, mistake that you guys all got together right there. I think that was a setup from the beginning. I think you guys were just waiting for the right time.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's good company to be
Yeah,
in.
no doubt.
Yeah.
So how do you think that everything's going to end up going with you next year? Are you guys going to be performing at Chattanooga, or what are you going to be doing?
Yes,
Okay.
we're playing September 19th, the Friday night at the festival.
Right.
And so we'll be there, part of that, and very excited about that. And yeah, I mean, we'll just be out there touring, keep continuing to tour, and got a good bit of bookings coming in for next year, and
That's
just
good.
just um, really like just working, like I said, playing this album out, Love and Trouble, because it's just sort of come out. I guess it's July 1st, but it just came out in mid-May. So,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like, I mean, to me, it feels like it's been out forever because I've been dealing with it for months. But I know that, to the rest of the world, it's kind of new. So,
Yeah.
we're excited about it, and the songs on it there's a lot of stories. The Love and Trouble title was
Yeah.
about the fact that, I looked at the collection of songs and I realized that they were mostly stories, and some of them were based on truth and some of them not so much, uh, but they all involved love or obsession or some kind of thing. And anytime you got love happening, you got trouble.
Amen, sister. No doubt about it.
So it just kind of hit me one day. I was like, oh, this is love and trouble. That's what this is.
And music can be the same way.
Yeah.
You can want to get something right so many times, and then, maybe you're just not ready to do that yet. Maybe it's just not the right time. So there you go.
Yeah.
Give me some idea who helped you write some of these songs.
Well, I wrote a song called Eula Dorsey with my good
Right.
friend Tony Rackley, and oh gosh, Tony and I go back to the mid '90s, or late '90s, I think, when uh, we met at IBMA one
Mhm.
year, and he gave me some of his songs, and I was like, "Who is this writer? I just love him." And we became really good friends, and we've written a lot together through the years, and recorded some of that stuff. But that was a song that I literally had the idea because another friend of mine was who's from West Virginia, like me, and she was talking about her aunt who knew this woman named Eula Dorsey, and I don't think I heard anything she said after that. I was like, "What? Her name was what?"
How do you
And
get that name?
I was like, that name just sounds so old and so storied
Mhm.
already. And I said, "Tell me about Eula." And she goes, "Oh, I don't, it was my aunt's friend. I don't even know." And I was like, "It's okay. I'll make up something."
Exactly.
So we made
Done
up a
this
story.
before. Leave me alone.
Yeah. We made up a story about Eula, and and so that was fun to do that.
It's kind of like my Aunt Eula, you know, or somebody like that, you know.
Eula is a really strong mountain.
It is.
I think it's just I can see this person in my mind, you know, and it's a powerful name. So she kind of made her, she doesn't have an easy life, but she gets through it all right. And so I wrote with that, and I wrote Yanceyville Jail.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I wrote that by myself, but because that was based on a true story that I made up, but it's true.
Story that you made up. Okay.
Well, it's
like a true songwriter right there.
Well, it is actually based on the true fact that I was at a festival in the 70s when I was a kid, mm-hmm. and Jimmy Martin was supposed to perform, and the promoter, Carlton Haney, came out that day on stage and said that Jimmy wouldn't be singing that day. In fact, I'll have to do it in his accent. So I have to back up a minute on this, because Carlton Haney was a promoter of. He's credited for starting the first multi-day bluegrass festivals.
Really?
Ever. Yes, and he did this in the early 60s, and my family started going to them probably like 65, 66 or something like that, and I went through them we went to all of his festivals. He had lots of festivals on the East Coast, and anyway, so I grew up doing that, and if it hadn't been for Carlton Haney, I'm not sure if I'd be doing what I'm doing. But so Carlton was from North Carolina, and he had these really fabulous festivals, but he came out after some sort of kerfluffle that happened between him and Jimmy Martin. Now, I don't know if you know Jimmy.
I'm sure
Martin.
There was plenty of kerfuffles with Jimmy Martin, you know.
There you go. So you do know. And
I know all about Jimmy.
He was a colorful character. So he apparently something had happened. That's the part that I did not witness. But what I did witness was Carlton Haney coming out on stage, and he goes, "Now I know that y'all have been looking forward to seeing Jimmy Martin sing tonight." He said, "But you're not going to hear Jimmy sing tonight, because Jimmy's going to spend the night in the Yanceyville jail."
Oh my gosh. That was so good. How did you do that?
Because I listened to Carlton my whole childhood, and I loved him. And so anyway, so I heard this as a kid, and I remember thinking, wow, like this doesn't happen.
This is trouble.
So I've been telling this story my whole life. And then I thought last year, I started thinking, I was like, I just need to write a song. And I was like, well, I don't know exactly what happened, because I was just a kid there. I wasn't playing the festival, and I was just an attendee. But I know that I've heard stories, but I didn't witness them. But I did witness Carlton say what I just told you. So anyway, so I made up what might have been going on in Jimmy Martin's head that day.
Oh no!
And that's what the song is about. So it's every verse is from Jimmy's perspective, maybe.
That is so crafty of you. Now I have to go listen to the song like for the 87th time and just figure out. Wait a minute. That's what that means.
Yeah, now you can listen to the verses and hear and think of it as from the perspective of a man who had just driven into the festival, and after a scuffle ended up spending the night in the jail. Oh, and the most bluegrass thing about what happened after Jimmy told everybody that he'd be spending the night in the Yanceyville jail, he said, "But you can hear him tomorrow." He said, because he'll come back tomorrow, but he's not going to be here tonight because he's going to spend that night in the Yanceyville jail. So how bluegrass is that?
That is great.
You know, I'm gonna slap your hand and put you in jail tonight. You can sleep it off, and then you can come back tomorrow, and we'll go on just like everything we planned.
No, that's what bluegrass is all about.
I mean, that is it.
we have to forgive each other because there's nobody else to forgive.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Well, Missy, thank you for sitting down with me this afternoon. And you gave me a good belly laugh too. So
I love that.
I'll be thinking about this all afternoon. And now, like I said, I got to go listen to this song for the 87th time. So
Absolutely. It's
all
fun.
Right. Well, young lady, I hope you have much more success than you ever thought you could. And this record's going to do well. I'm sure of it because Compass is going to make sure of it. And it's called Love and Trouble. And those are the two words that go together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, young lady. We will be seeing you soon, okay?
All right.
All right. Rick Dollar here for the Rick Dollar Show, and I've been speaking with the one and only Missy Raines.
This has been the Rick Dollar Show podcast. The Rick Dollar Show podcast is produced by Radio Dog Productions. Theme music is written and performed by Jeremy Garrett at garrettgrass.com. The Rick Dollar Show podcast cannot be reproduced or rebroadcast without express written consent from Radio Dog Productions. I'm Kent Jones, and this has been a Radio Dog production.